We don't get paid we get paid to get that play. Welcome to the very first episode of The Play is the Play. I am Violet Palmer, and I am so excited to finally bring this to life. For those of you who don't know me, I was blessed to be the first female official to referee an NBA game. I started in 1997. Since then, I have been training, developing my officials at the highest level, giving back, mentoring, and trying to make my officials some of the best officials in the country. Today, I am the coordinator of officials for 5 NCAA Division I conferences: the Big Sky, the Big West, the Mountain West, the West Coast Conference, and the Western Athletic Conference. And this podcast is a way to share lessons I've learned, plays that we can all teach and learn from, and stories we can grow from. This is Queen V Unplugged. This is a segment where I would bring guests on and have them tell their stories. But today, I will tell my story of how I became a female referee in the NBA and how I started. You know, I was a collegiate referee for 9 years, and I was at the highest level, working various Final Fours and championship games. And one day I received a phone call, and it was from Dr. Aaron Wade. He was one of the scouts that would help. He was Dale Garrison's assistant. And he called me on the phone and told me that he had seen me work an NCAA Division I playoff game. Unbeknownst to me, that once he called, I really thought it was a joke. I didn't think it was real. I said that to him, and he kind of chuckled because he says normally when he would call officials, they would be so excited because Dr. Wade actually called them. Unbeknownst to me, I was clueless. But however, I took the phone call. I listened to what he said. He told me that the NBA was interested in training some women. He asked me if I was interested in getting into the training program. Obviously, I thought, what the heck? What's the worst could happen? I can get some free training, a free trip, meet some fellow NBA officials. It could actually help my collegiate career. So I literally sent him some videotapes. He sent me my jerseys, my books, and that's pretty much how I got started. In the summertime, I would actually go to NBA trainings, which was very exciting for me. I did those trainings for 3 years, and I can tell you this, from the first time I walked out on an NBA court in Summer League, I knew right then and there that I was going to get myself a job. I knew that I was going to be the top of my class. I knew that I was going to get all the training I possibly could. I knew that I was going to get to know the guys that I was in class with. I wanted them to get to know me, but more so, I just was going to just be myself. I became comfortable. I loved it. 1997 and October 31st, I received my first shot. I want to thank Dr. Rod Thorne for giving me that opportunity. But I have to say, walking out on that court for my first NBA game, I was terrified. I was frightened. I was literally about to pee my pants because I felt like the entire world was on my shoulders and waiting for me to fail. But you know what? I knew within myself that I had trained, I had developed, I was at the top of my class, and that I would be successful. And through all that, I had an amazing 19-year career. I worked playoffs. I worked an all-star game. I was able to do things in my career that have been unimaginable. It was exciting. I loved it. But you know, another thing happened. I had one of my good friends. He told me it was about my 10th or my 11th year. And he said, you know what, boo? It's time. It's time for you to go back. And I said, go back? Go back to what? He said, it's time for you to go back to the NCAA. He's like, with all the training and developing that you have done, it's time for you to go share your stories, share your experiences, and help your fellow officials. That was the best advice that someone has given me from my mentor. I took it, and to this day, now I spend all of my time since I've retired. I'm about training, I'm about developing, I'm about making my officials the best they can be. And I think first and foremost is being an example. I'm a professional. I love what I do, and I look forward to helping each and every one of you for you to listen and enjoy what we have in store. All right. Well, how about let's jump right in. I want to thank so much my guest, Bob Scofield, for being here with me. Bob and I are going to break down this play that he chose. It's an awesome play. But Bob, one thing, a couple of words about you. Um, you know what? You're just one of the best, man. You're a veteran. You're such a great mentor. You're a leader. And of course, not only to me, a leader throughout the entire country. You're just one of the best. But, one of the things that I know that I can always count on from just me to you is that you do an amazing job with our less experienced officials. You teach them, you mentor them, you make them feel comfortable on and off the floor. Just a true professional, and you really, help our young officials to feel comfortable and to feel important and to feel like they add value to our staff, and that is so extremely important. And every single night, you pretty much raise your crew to that level of expectation. That's 150% every single night. And I just want to say I love you to death, and I thank you so much, and thank you for just, taking the time to come out and join and just kind of do what we do, because this is what we would do any night in the day, night in and night out, just watching plays and clips and situations in a game. So you can just kind of tee it up, and we'll go from there.
Okay, thanks, V. This is a play that end of game situation, 3-point game. I've been doing this a long time. I always like putting myself on blast first, but we'll look at this play. It's a great play.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the play. Red's down 3 points. We get together. Blue had just made 2 free throws. So we get together because Red called the timeout to advance the ball. I get the crew together. I switched all the referees around. I knew there would be a 3-point attempt, so I put myself at trail. I put the U1 as the lead, and the least experienced official I put as the center. The last thing I was concerned about was the clock, because we can always go to replay to check the clock.
Right.
So as I look at this freeze frame right here, I already am disappointed in myself that I'm too deep. A lot can happen on this play. You got 14 blue. Is she going to go across the line? Is she breaking the plane?
Right.
And we a lot of times we forget that our first responsibility with the thrower in is that. Did the
Perfect.
thrower in step on the line? Well, we have to do a little bit better of that. So as you can see, I'm pretty tuned into that, but I'm a little too deep for myself. I wish I was about 3 steps closer to the thrower in.
Yeah, probably
So
around where that D is, would you say? Looking where the D,
the
looking at
D,
the stand.
maybe even.
Yeah, even with the
Yeah,
D. But here's, and you said something that's really, really important that our officials don't do a really good job with, because a lot of times on the inbound, they're looking out at all the cutters, and that is not their primary responsibility. And I'm so happy that you said, your head, you can clearly see that you're looking at the throw in, because that is your primary area of responsibility right now. Period.
and we talked about there's going to be a 3-point attempt.
Mm-hmm.
All of us need to have an opinion on this shot. It's the only play in the game that can hurt us at this point. And We talked about the double screens. They had shot a lot of 3-pointers from the top of the key. So, you could draw stuff up, but it doesn't always happen like you want it to.
Yep. Perfect world.
So,
Right.
so let's run the play.
Well, you pre-gamed that one pretty good, Bob. You were
Well,
right on the
we
money.
got we got the 3-point shot, not where I thought it would be taken from.
Right.
Uh, However, it was a well-designed play by the coach. And as you could see, you know what? My gut was telling me it was a foul, but I just could not see it. And I'm not going to guess on this play.
Right.
You know what? I'll take the hit if I missed it, but it was hard. And you could see the coach. Somebody mentioned this to me. The coach wasn't even on the bench. If you could see the head coach, he's standing behind the bench to give that young lady ample room to move
Wow.
to
I
get
just
her open
noticed that.
shot.
I didn't even realize that till
Yeah,
you
look at
just
that.
said it. He sure is.
Yeah, yeah. Jeff was standing there, and hey, you know what? We we just after if you show the other, if I think we have another angle too, we can
Right.
see that there were so many more things we all could have done better. I
Yes.
learned you always start with yourself. I wish I was closer. That would have
Right.
helped us a lot. Even though if I was closer, I still don't think I would have had a clean look at this play.
Right. And
But as we look at,
going back to your body language, I could tell that you you actually took the step forward with your body language because you wanted to put a whistle on it, but you still fundamentally and your discipline, you couldn't do it because you knew that you didn't have a clear look at it. And that's see again,
right,
that's having that intestinal fortitude. That's good fundamentals and being disciplined because it would have been, I'm sure there's several officials that would have just pulled the trigger on that. But again, that's not a good habit. That's not something that we practice because if you're wrong, that can really bite us in the butt. Now,
right.
obviously, this is going to bite us anyway, but you can't, that's not our career. That's not who we are. That's not being fundamentally sound and that's not being disciplined. And now looking at the second angle, the baseline
Well,
look, we can clearly see that our lead, nice position, wide angle, no post players in front of her. She has nothing else to look at. There's only one play that matters.
yep, yep.
Totally open look. Um, but the key component, and when I first watched this, and when I discussed it with you, and when we discussed it with the crew, I said the key thing is as soon as this shot's taken, they turn their head and they go to rebounding position. I said, and I'll say exactly what I said to the official. I said, you didn't want to have anything to do with this play. And that's the first problem with this play. Obviously, open look. You clearly said it in your huddle with the crew is everyone must have an opinion. But you actually, with saying that, you actually have to want to have an opinion. You have to have courage. You have to have that intestinal fortitude. And these are those things in games and in situations like this where you actually have to want to put air in the whistle. Know that this is your play. And you have an open look, you just pull the trigger. You made some good points that you can bring up even in our C position to start with
Yeah.
this play because we look at each position to see how could we get better. And obviously, no, do we expect for our center to go that far, all the way across the court to that 3-point line way on the strong side? No, we wouldn't, but he could have still put himself in a better position to possibly be able to help on the play. Would you
Well, it's
agree?
like I told him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what I told him was like where he is, he should have been on the floor at least to the 3-point arc to
Yeah.
look active.
Yeah.
Even though if he blew across the floor on that kind of foul, I mean, that's a no-no.
Right.
However, if you're on the floor and you look more inact, it looks like you're into this.
Right.
Um, but you know that's how you learn. And the mechanics book, those are suggestions. They are not, you stand at the free throw line extended when the ball's on the other side of the floor.
Right.
You
Right.
know what? You have to adjust. You have to go. And okay, that was good. And I think we all learned a lesson on this. The lead also, you have a great game, but people only remember the last minute of the game.
That's the truth.
You know what? We could be good for 59 minutes, but the last minute, don't, no one misses anything.
Correct.
And you feel, but it's good learning for the younger referees that, you know what? You blow your whistle. If you're wrong, okay, you get hit for you being wrong, but you blow your whistle.
Right.
That's all.
Right. No. And I know, we had a really great post game with this and talking to the crew, you and I, and you know what, and I commend our league because they clearly said, I did not do a good job, and I think that's the one key component, you know, um, kind of for you. Uh, how did Jeff handle this at the after this play? You know, what happened after that?
So after the play, Erskine had a blocking foul on red, so Blue was going to go to the free throw line.
Mhm.
Jeff called Erskine over, and I was the lead at the other end, so I'm just observing this. Jeff never raised his voice, never pointed his fingers at anyone, and I've always learned, you watch how they react after you're done talking to them.
Mhm.
And Jeff just shook his head. Okay, that's all he said. Now we come down the other end. They took a timeout to advance the ball. I put everybody in the same position.
Mhm.
And Jeff said, all he said to me was, I trust you. That's all he said. There was no name calling. There was no yelling, no screaming, you know, kind of like, this is not what cost us the game. And that's
Mm.
how he left it.
Class man. Class
And
man.
yeah, it was very respectful. I mean, he could have been yelling and screaming at me because I'm the one that should take the heat.
Right.
That's my job. My job is to take the heat
Right.
because I want to alleviate that. Because I've been doing this 30 years,
Mhm.
31 years.
Mhm.
It takes a while to achieve that in your career because a lot of people never make it that far. But you learn how to deal with situations. And I respect the guy for not putting us on blast.
Absolutely.
So,
Because again, this could have, it actually dissolved in a way
mhm.
that was a little surprising because you know, you could have had a situation where he's running out, he's stomping, he's waving his hands, and now you have to actually you know, you get caught with a double whammy because now you actually have to make a decision on do we do something with that or do we not? But the nice thing is you didn't.
Yeah.
You end up getting out clean where it wasn't ugly looking and crazy, but you still had to go to the locker room and still be honest with your crew, and have that discussion to say, you know what, I'm not happy. You know what,
Yeah.
we didn't, we came up short, and this is what we can't do. We don't get paid to do. We get paid to get that play, and we had an opportunity to get it, and we didn't do it. And that's being real honest. And even with myself, when Jeff called me, I had to be totally honest. I said, Jeff, we needed a whistle on the play. I think it's an obvious foul. We missed it. I've had a discussion with Bob. I had a discussion with the crew, and you know what, we're going to get better. We're going to get better. And I can honestly say, Bob, with your comments earlier, that's exactly what he said to me. He said, Violet, thank you for your honesty, but I can honestly say this was not the play that cost us the game. Totally a class act. And, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good because it could have
Yeah.
not, we could have, you have a different coach in a different situation and all hell breaks loose. But here's a situation where we didn't have another mistake compounded on another mistake because obviously this is not the time where you want to have to deal with anything unsportsmanlike. You don't want to have to deal with, a coach acting crazy. But I can say with the crew, you know what, very open and honest with the discussion. And I know that all three of you learned from the situation. You know, you didn't put your head in the ground. You got to stay above water and you got to keep pushing through because you all had a game the next day. You know, you got to learn from what happened. And the key component is now, how do you respond when you go out for for your next game? And you got to step up to the plate and start swinging again, you know?
Well, and to credit, when we got in the locker room, she said, "Hey, Sco, I did not do a good job there." And you know what? Be truthful, because trying to tape don't lie. Charlie Range told me that 50 years ago. The tape does not lie.
Well, you know
So,
what? You're right on the money. And I can honestly say that's one reason where the slogan came from. The play is the play. And one thing you want to always remember, you just go out every single night and you just do your job. If you see it and you're 100% on it, you have an open look, it's your primary, not your primary, end of the game situations. You must be able to make a decision, but you got to have that intestinal fortitude to want to put air in the whistle as well. And because this is what we get paid for. And at this level and at any level, this is where you earn your money. So I want to say thank you so much. Great play, always a good discussion. You know what? Obviously, you and I, we do this all the time. So I just want to say thank you so much. And we're going to keep it real. The play is the play. Thanks so much, Bob. Appreciate you.
I thanks, V.
Now, this is our segment of Keeping It Real. This is where I give you the do's and the don'ts of officiating. No fluff, no sugarcoating. And this week's do is stay engaged in every possession. One thing we have to remember mentally, we cannot take plays off. We have to work hard in every single position, work to get our open angles, um, work to stay engaged, work to make sure that we understand every single movement is calculated. You know what you're looking at. You know when you need to be in your primary. You know that when you need to be off ball. All of these things are extremely important. Now, the don't. The don't is we can never, ever, ever get caught ball watching. This is extremely important. Fundamentally, you must practice staying off ball. You must practice using your peripheral vision to find the ball. You cannot turn your head and follow the ball all over the court. You actually must stay in your primary. Very, very important. Two key things that you're going to continue to do because it will create consistency. You will become more comfortable. You will automatically do these things once you're on the court, because what you want to do is you're trying your best to be disciplined, fundamentally sound, and create good habits. And these good habits will keep you out of trouble. Extremely important. This is real talk. And these are the two things that consistently will help you develop very, very fast in your career as you're going through and watching video to work on these particular things. Before we wrap, this is time for VP's assignment. This is where we do extra work, a little extra credit for you to incorporate these do's and your don'ts in your career. Officials, this is a task for the week. I would like for you to watch one of your games. I would like for you to catch yourself every time you see yourself ball watching. I would like for you to write it down. This is a time for you to do your homework, hold yourself accountable, and do that extra work. This is about creating good habits, being fundamentally sound, and staying disciplined. For those who are not wearing the stripes, ball watching can be incorporated in our day-to-day lives. Every week we find ourselves, we're being distracted. I don't know how many times I go into a room going to pick something up and I can't even remember what I went in there to pick up. I don't know if it's age. I don't know if it's being distracted. I don't know if it's just me not being disciplined. But in my day-to-day life, I know that I can use things from my officiating to still help me in my personal life. So I would say for all of us, we want to try these things. We want to be open. We want to be honest at home. We want to stick with our goals, and we want to stay in our lane and stay in our coverage. This assignment, we want to stay disciplined, stay present, and handle your business. Working on these things will separate the good referees from the great referees. And now that's it for our first episode of The Play is the Play. I want to give a huge thanks to Bob Scofield, one of my veteran officials. Man, you know what? Him and I do that all the time. It was fun. I had an amazing time sharing, The Play is the Play with him. I just want to say thank you to him for taking the time to just spend a little time with me. Also, I would please, for all our listeners, please follow us at Basic Referee School. We're going to continue to elevate the craft one story at a time. We will always do our best to put up plays that, we can all learn from, we can grow from, and we can continue to get better. Join me for our next podcast with another amazing story, another breakdown, and we will continue to grow. Until then, keep working, keep learning, and keep blowing the whistle with confidence. I'm Violet Palmer, and I thank you so much for being here, and we will see you on the court. The play is the play.